Welcome, you insightful listener, to a brand new deep dive. Today we're embarking on a fascinating exploration of spiritual ideas around the self, the divine, and the soul's journey. Our source for this dive is an intriguing spiritual text from April 2nd, 2025, titled Spodmore. Now, while that title itself is from the text, please know that our entire conversation today will be strictly in English.
Absolutely. Just setting the stage there.
Exactly. Our mission is to really unpack the core understandings about interchange, the essence of true companionship, and a unique cyclical view of time that this text lays out.
Yeah, some deep concepts. We'll be looking at spiritual cleansing, the contrasting paths of devotion and knowledge.
Right. And the significance of our current time. So let's get straight to it. The text begins with this really powerful statement. Hey, Tarachane.
Hasati kapatlang, impulon, influno to the influon, which translates to overcome.
It really is. So the question it raises for me, and maybe for you listening, is what does it truly mean to detach from the old and embrace the new? And how does this inner shift positively impact not just you, but, well, everyone around you?
Well, what's immediately striking is this emphasis on detachment. But it's not just about physically withdrawing, is it?
No, it seems deeper than that.
Exactly. It feels like an inner letting go of what's called the impure world. And the text is quite direct. This detachment is essential for becoming pure.
And the connection it makes is fascinating. Your personal spiritual growth, that ascending stage, directly benefits everyone else.
Yeah, that's a big claim. It suggests your inner journey has this ripple effect,
Yeah,
outward into the world.
absolutely. Okay, let's dig a little deeper then. This idea of an impure world. Clearly, the text has a specific viewpoint on the current state of things. And this need to become pure, is that just like a personal goal or something more profound? And how exactly does my ascending stage help everyone else?
Yeah.
That's the bit I'm really curious about.
Well, if we look at the bigger picture the text presents, this impurity seems tied to a cyclical downturn, a phase with, lots of different beliefs, not much unity, something we'll probably touch on again.
Okay.
So this call to purity, it's essentially a callback to a higher original state. And as for how your progress helps others, think interconnectedness.
Right.
As individuals purify their own consciousness, it lifts the collective. It's not about isolation, but interchange having real positive outward effects for all.
That makes a lot of sense, like raising the tide lifts all boats, that kind of thing.
Precisely.
Now, the text moves on to a really thought-provoking question.
Which is, it is said, the soul is its own enemy, its own friend. What is true friendship? A fundamental question, really.
And the answer provided is quite insightful, isn't it?
It is. The response given is,
And
Okay, just break that down in English.
So, to always follow the elevated directions of the one Father, this is true friendship. True friendship is to become pure by remembering the one Father and to claim the full inheritance from the Father. The Father alone teaches the method for making this friendship. It is only at the confluence age that the soul becomes its own friend.
Wow. Okay, several things jump out there. The strong emphasis on the elevated directions of the one Father sounds like a core principle.
Definitely, a guiding light.
this idea of becoming pure through remembrance and claiming a full inheritance, it suggests a divine connection, maybe a birthright.
That's a good way to put it. An inheritance waiting to be claimed.
But this term, confluence age, that's new. What's the significance of this specific time? It sounds quite important.
It's presented as very specific, yes. A pivotal period. If you imagine time as cyclical, like the text suggests later,
Okay.
this confluence age is the critical junction. It's between the old, less pure cycle ending and a new, pure one beginning. It's seen as the time when this father figure directly guides humanity.
Ah, I see. So it's the unique window of opportunity.
Exactly. The text is saying it's specifically during this confluence age that the soul gets the guidance needed to become its own friend by aligning with these directions, reclaiming its purity, its inheritance.
So true self-friendship, true progress, hinges on this alignment, especially now in this specific age.
That's the core insight, yes.
Huh.
A singular divine guidance becomes available.
Okay, so it's a particularly opportune moment for this kind of inner work. Now, the text then brings up a song. You're like, get in the call, meaning you wasted the night. How does that fit in?
The text uses it to illustrate a point about different spiritual paths. It explains this song comes from the path of devotion, Bhakti Marg.
Okay, devotion.
Yeah, things like singing hymns, studying scriptures, going on pilgrimages, activities widely seen as religious or devotional.
Right, common practices.
But the key thing here is the contrast the text draws with the path of knowledge, Jayan Marg, which, interestingly, is what we're doing right now, exploring this text.
Ah, so it's distinguishing devotion from knowledge and positioning this exploration as part of the knowledge path.
Precisely. And it positions knowledge as a more direct route to liberation, especially in this particular cyclical time.
Okay, devotion versus knowledge. How does it differentiate them further?
Well, it outlines the cyclical pattern. A half cycle of devotion is followed by a half cycle where the attainment of knowledge happens. It talks about the soul descending through 84 births during the devotion phase, and then experiencing an ascending stage that Yulon and Petty again in just one birth, through this path of knowledge.
Just one birth. That's rapid.
It is. And there's even this powerful concept mentioned, liberation in a second. Right back, associated with knowledge.
Liberation in a second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's potent. How does it fit into the larger cosmic picture according to the text?
It connects it to a transition, moving from what it calls the kingdom of Ravan, which is often linked with negativity, conflict, starting from a specific era called the Dwapar Yuga,
Okay.
to the establishment of the kingdom of Ram, or Ram Raja, symbolizing righteousness, harmony.
Right.
And it suggests that completing these 84 births coincides with this ascending stage through knowledge, which, again, benefits everyone. The text even notes this idea, the ascent benefits all can be found in some scriptures.
So we're in this transition period moving towards a more harmonious age, and knowledge is the key catalyst for this personal and collective rise.
That's the essence of it.
Now, the text then touches upon the sheer number of religions and opinions we see now in the current age, the Kali Yuga or Iron Age.
Yeah, the multiplicity.
And it contrasts that sharply with the one opinion, Ikmat, that it says exists in the future Golden Age, the Setchug.
This contrast really highlights the unique perspective being offered here. The text states that the father figure we mentioned,
Shiva?
yes, that this figure imparts the knowledge of the entire cycle, beginning, middle, and end of creation.
The whole story.
The whole story. And it uses that very relatable analogy of a school, just like students learn progressively.
Right, as their understanding grows.
So too is this spiritual knowledge revealed gradually. The lock of the intellect, mechanical and hang-up and Paul opens bit by bit.
Ah, that's a great analogy. It
Yeah.
speaks directly to, not wanting to feel overwhelmed. It's a step-by-step unfolding.
Exactly. No information overload.
So, this father is the ultimate teacher, revealing cosmic secrets in a way our minds can actually grasp over time.
Precisely. And this leads into discussing the father's specific role. The text emphasizes that the father comes specifically to transform the impure, the patit, into the pure, the pabam.
Okay, the purifier.
Yes. And it reiterates that need for detachment, Vairagya, from this impure world. There's also that interesting societal reflection, Kalgowan, Allah is the cunning queen, so the subjects.
Implying a link between leadership or guiding principles and the state of the people.
Right. If the world is impure, it reflects a certain kind of guidance or lack thereof. And the text observes that at this time, generally, everyone's intellect, their buddhi, is sort of contrary to the father's direction.
Except
you children, meaning those on this path of knowledge who remember the father with love and regard.
Okay. And then it introduces this description of Father Shiva, Shiva Baba.
Yes, describing him as the seed form of the human creation. Milestone. And also The ocean of knowledge. Ocean of love. Ocean of love. An ocean of bliss.
That's quite a description. Very comprehensive.
It is. And it clarifies that term. Elgiteth, LT, Elgites, po. God Shiva speaks through the Trimurti, especially in relation to the giver of the knowledge of the Gita Gyan data.
Right. This is a really significant point you mentioned earlier.
Yes. The text offers a different understanding here. It states that Brahma is the instrument, the medium, through whom this knowledge is imparted.
Contrasting with the common belief that Krishna spoke the Gita.
Exactly. It posits Shiva as the ultimate source, speaking through Brahma, not Krishna being the original speaker in that context.
That's a major interpretive difference. So the knowledge comes via Brahma from Shiva. The text then contrasts knowledge and devotion further using the Gita itself, right?
It does. It highlights that the Gita isn't studied in the Golden Age Satyug. It's seen as relevant primarily during the path of devotion, Bhakti Marg.
Interesting. So it's a text for the journey, not the destination.
In a way, yes, according to this view. The text emphasizes that only the Creator Father, the Rachita Bap, gives the full knowledge beginning, middle, end. Something humans, it implies, can't fully grasp on their own.
Okay.
It reiterates the Father's self-description. Seed of human creation, giver of salvation for all. And this really prompts that reevaluation. Who is the true authority behind the Gita's wisdom?
It certainly challenges conventional interpretations. Now let's loop back to friendship. The text revisits this, doesn't it?
Yes, it circles back to explain that true friendship lies in becoming pure and claiming that inheritance by following the Father's directions, the Srimat.
So following the guidance is the act of friendship towards oneself.
And it reiterates how the soul shifts from being its own enemy to its own friend through this specific knowledge given in the specific confluence age, Sangamyuga.
Right. The timing is crucial again.
Absolutely. Following the Father's directions, Srimat, leads to that elevated state, Sadgati, or salvation. It also links good actions now to a good future in the land of immortality, Amar Lok.
As opposed to the current land of death, Mityulok.
Right. Reinforcing that our present actions have significant future consequences within this framework. So detaching from negativity, aligning with this divine guidance, it's about self-friendship, personal salvation, and benefiting the whole.
Okay, so how do we cultivate this true friendship with ourselves and reach that elevated state? The text mentions remembrance and spiritual light.
Yes, it explains that connecting with the Father, having yoga or a connection with BAP brings light to the intellect.
Light as an understanding,
Yeah.
clarity.
Understanding, clarity, purity. It emphasizes the more you stay in remembrance, the sortie to your doctor, the more this light increases, purifying the soul.
And the opposite is also true.
Yes. Not remembering and engaging in negative actions, vikarma, causes that spiritual light to decrease. It frames the efforts of those on this path as actively striving to become elevated, pure sattvaprahan.
So it's a conscious cultivation, like tending a flame through remembrance, a spiritual practice.
Definitely.
The text then brings Krishna back into this cycle.
It does. It explains that even the soul who becomes Krishna takes this knowledge again in his 84th and final birth in the cycle, before returning to that first #1 position in the new golden age.
So even the highest figures go through this process of learning and ascending again.
According to this text, yes. It also mentions the population starts small in the Satyug, just 900,000, and increases later. It uses an analogy, like passing an exam well determines who gets the best result or arrives first.
Okay, so merit through understanding and purity determines one's place.
Seems so. And it contrasts the enduring golden palaces of the Satyug with the decaying nature of everything in the current world.
It really paints a picture of a cyclical return to an original pure state. Now, the text shifts tone a bit to the joy of transformation.
Yes, here it's more encouraging. It urges you, the listener, to maintain the happiness, the kushi, of knowing you're transitioning to this new world.
Focusing on the positive future.
Right. Emphasizing that this is the last birth in what it calls hell, narak, meaning the current imperfect state. This world, this body, they're old.
And the anticipation is for
A new body, new pure elements in the Satyug. It encourages churning the ocean of thoughts, to call on these ideas, seeing this churning as a continuous form of study right until the end.
and holding the awareness that God is teaching us. We
Yeah,
learn it.
yeah.
Exactly, that this churning is the study.
That idea of actively engaging, internalizing, It links nicely to the next section, the value of the present life in service. This part contrasts the current valuable life, which is seen as a life of service, with the future state of Lakshmi and Narayan, the first rulers of the Golden Age, often identified with Krishna and Radha. In that future state, they aren't depicted as actively serving in the same way.
So the service aspect is key now.
Yes. It explains that those who perform good service now become worthy of praise later. This is tied to becoming truly pure, true Vaishnavas, through a pure lifestyle.
And it highlights the role of the children of Brahma.
Especially they would be tied in this.
Yes, as agents of this transformation. It even explains the symbolism of deities with multiple arms, suggesting they represent the many souls they help to transform, like a team effort.
That's an interesting interpretation of the imagery.
The core message is, embody divine qualities, guide others correctly, and always remember the Father in the inheritance. That's the essential service.
So this life is a unique window for meaningful action and service that contributes to the larger shift. Now, towards the very end, we get concluding words and blessings.
Yes, it becomes quite personal. There's a loving remembrance, yad pyar, and a good morning from the mother, father, Baptara, Tanka Pasha to the sweet, beloved, long lost, and now found children, Grington, Bada.
Baptara being the combined form.
Yes, representing the father and the first perfect man, Brahma. And there's also namaste greetings from the spiritual father to the spiritual children.
Yeah.
Very affectionate.
Following that, we have the essence for retention. And to discuss, Kalab under the Kamin Day, basically the key takeaways.
Right, distilled points. The first emphasizes becoming a true Vaishnava through pure food, pure diet's often stressed, and remaining apatra pure to become worthy of praise. Use this valuable life for service, elevating others.
And the second point?
Maintain that connection, that yoga with the Father that increases the soul's light. Avoid negative actions, vikarma, that diminish it. And crucially, be a friend to your own soul.
Be your own friend. That ties back nicely to the earlier point. These are like practical guidelines
Exactly.
for applying the principles.
Then we have a blessing. A blessing it's in.
Over them. Yes. The blessing is yin kaninayo. What right am I doing in first con you make my self come out with a bush. Then we come up with a kuva get pokopay and the pokipo and so higher thing for a big for the old time on the balore. May you become a master creator who remains seated on the seat of self-respect and attains victory over situations.
Yeah, okay, let's unpack that. Seat of self-respect.
Swasthiti. The text explains that situations, parasthiti, are like a creation of nature. But one established in self-respect, swasthiti, is the creator, the rachayata.
So you're the creator of your response, your state. Precisely. A master creator, or master almighty. Lokan Wantananda, Doning doesn't fail if they stay on their seat, their stable state of self-awareness and power. It warns against leaving that seat, which leads to powerlessness, being affected by Maya's dust, negativity.
Maya being illusion or negativity.
Right. And it adds a reminder. Beloved surrendered Brahmins, meaning those following this path, don't play in the dirt of body consciousness. Theory play people incompeted. He that is a lowman.
That's a powerful image, staying firmly rooted in that inner state of self-respect to navigate challenges.
Very powerful.
Finally, there's a slogan, a sheet slogan.
Which is, steadfastness melts even hard sand squares, habits, tendencies like wax.
So perseverance overcomes ingrained patterns. Simple but profound.
Very much so.
And lastly, some unexpressed guidance.
Yes.
Look,
As a
that's right.
in Satharius, yet Adinasism thon Sadias Fidei remain ever victorious through the remembrance of your combined form.
Combined form. What does that mean here?
It elaborates. Just as you are an embodiment of knowledge, Chaitanya Swarup, you should also be an embodiment of love. Lasniya Swarup. Because knowledge is the seed, but love is the water.
Ah, so it's not just intellect.
No. The combination of knowledge and heartfelt love leads to the fruit, the attainment. It's about balance, head and heart working together for victory.
So it's not just intellectual understanding, but also cultivating love and applying that knowledge with compassion. That makes sense. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this particular excerpt from the Chorinaikanto. You've joined us as we've explored the importance of inner purity and detachment, the unique definition of true spiritual companionship offered, the cyclical view of time presented, and the transformative power of what's described as divine knowledge.
It's certainly a dense text with a lot to consider.
It really is. And it's fascinating to consider that idea, again, that our individual spiritual growth isn't just personal, but has these wider benefits for everyone.
That interconnectedness theme runs deep.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to perhaps ponder. How might consciously cultivating inner purity and detachment, as this text describes it, actually impact your daily life, your interactions?
And what does that concept of being your own best friend, guided by this higher wisdom, truly entail in practice day to day?
Good questions to reflect on. We encourage you to continue exploring these ideas and thinking about the unique perspective offered by this source material. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.